Hi, I'm Dr. Matthew Thornton. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and a licensed professional counselor. And I want to share with you ideas to help you improve your life and relationships. A lot of times in our life, we can be overwhelmed by our problems. They can tend to saturate us and consume our lives. And so we're going to talk a little bit about a technique called finding exceptions and what that can do to help you improve your life and relationships. So today we're going to talk about this concept of exceptions. Before we do that, I want to kind of share with you a concept or idea around how we become so saturated with thinking about our problems and how they consume us. Now we go through life, all of us, and we have a sort of frame of reference that we approach life through. This would be our box, our frame of reference. And we're inside of that frame. Sometimes we know about our particular frame of reference. Most of the time, though, we're unaware that we're sort of approaching life in a particular frame. And as we go through life and there are difficulties that happen, maybe we're depressed or our anxiety, or we've got conflict in relationships, those problems tend to fill up that frame. And before long, it can really feel like our entire frame, our entire life is shaped by the problems that we have. We can be overwhelmed, feel saturated, even like we're drowning in the problems that we're having. Now, as we start to think about our lives, oftentimes if we were to scan back into the last week or over the last month or even year sometimes, there would be pockets of time or instances or situations where the problems that we were facing weren't as difficult as maybe they are at other times, or maybe even times where we handle them much better. Or even still, there will be times that aren't a problem at all. And these are what we would consider exceptions. And we all have that. Problems rarely are problems 24/7, 365. Most of the time, even if you're severely depressed, there are moments in your day where you feel a bit more of levity, you feel a bit more joy and excitement. There are things that happen with you that are different in those moments. But we tend to focus on the problem and we drown out those exceptions in our frame. And so the technique I want to talk with you about is really focusing in on those unique outcomes, those exceptions. And one of my favorite psychiatrists to kind of read from, his name is Laing. And he would tell a story about the idea that if you're stuck in a prison, in a dungeon, and the door is open, why would you sit in that prison and want to talk through why it is and how it is that you got into that prison before you walk through the door? He said it would be crazy. If the door is open, walk through it. And that's sort of the concept we're looking at here. We could focus a lot on how it is that we are depressed or what's going on in our life that's making us anxious, or we could focus on those areas, those open doors, and walk through them. And so that's really the idea and the concept of exceptions and unique outcomes, is finding those open doors and walking through them in our life. Now, Laing also told a story about a man that came to him who was severely depressed. So much so that he had suicidal thoughts at times. And he sat down for that first initial consultation, and Laing asked him that sort of same question. Scan back over your life, even if you have to go back several years, and tell me about a time where you weren't as depressed, or maybe you were even happy. And the man told him that he used to take walks, and he would whistle. He would whistle his favorite tune. And so they talked a while about those walks and those tunes, and whistling back and forth. And then by the end of the session, they're sharing each other's favorite jokes with each other. And the guy's jovial, he's having a good time. And Laing looks at his watch and he's like, hey, it's been 50 minutes, because 50 minutes is an hour in the therapy world. So our time is up. And so the guy's getting up, he's still chatting and talking with him, and he gets to the door and he just stops in his tracks and he says, hold up. And he starts to get on to Laing because he told him he wasn't getting his money's worth because they didn't go into his depression and all that was making him sad. And Laing said, you spent the last hour not being depressed, enjoying talking about tunes and sharing jokes. Don't you think between now and our next session, you should think about what that was like for you and how that was different? I think that's a great example for us, because oftentimes we focus so intently on the things that are going poorly in our lives that we miss the great stuff, the good things that are happening around us all the time. And that can be a real travesty, especially if you're, say, a dad like me and you're stressed at work and you come home and your kids are there and they're growing up before your eyes and they want to talk with you and share about their day, but you're just so stressed about what happened at work that you're not present with them. And that to me is something in my life that I've got to focus on those areas. Focus on those areas of bright spot that I want to be with my family. I want to be present in those moments. I want to be able to see that. So the idea with exceptions is to be able to find those moments, find those sort of unique outcomes, and then do more of that. So we want to expand those exceptions. So the idea from solution-focused therapy is if something is working, do more of that. And so that's really the concept here. If you can find something that's working for you in your life that improves how you're feeling, reduces your stress, improves that relationship, you want to do more of those things. And it's a really hopeful perspective too, because it has this idea that you have the resources right at your fingertips to help improve your life. And I truly believe that as well. Now, if you're a mental health professional and you want to learn more about how to find exceptions or unique outcomes, these come from a couple of different models. Solution-focused therapy focuses on exceptions. Narrative therapists look at unique outcomes. So those are two models. Also, if you're interested in R.D. Laing, he's got a lot of great books. He was really popular in Great Britain back in the 70s, but he's very unique in terms of his perspective. So I definitely would encourage you to read a little bit about him and his work. But if you're someone that is struggling with a mental health concern, I would urge you to reach out to a counselor. Oftentimes we get so consumed in our own self that we can't see those exceptions, we can't see those unique outcomes in our life. And a mental health professional can help walk you through a process of identifying those things that are working in your life and being able to expand those things. So please reach out. Now, I hope that this information is helpful to you, this idea and concept of exceptions and unique outcomes and how we can expand those things. So take this, apply it in your life, and go make a difference.